How's it going, everybody? I hope everyone's having a blessed day. And today I'm just going to be, letting my stream of consciousness come out pretty much, whatever that means. But yeah, I'm just going to be sharing my thoughts today and an insight I had today that really helped me. And I just felt like sharing, and hopefully it can help somebody out there. Um, but basically, I was noticing this morning that I was in a mental loop, and I've been aware of this mental loop. It'll come up every now and then. But this one, man, I was really in the mental loop. I was really attaching to the whole narrative that my mind was telling me, and I couldn't let go of it. I have a sometimes obsessive mindset, and sometimes I get really attached to things, and like if my attention is on something, it's hard for me to disengage my attention and switch it to something else. And so I was just in this mental loop. I couldn't get my attention off. Every time I tried to get off, I went back in the mental loop. And, you know, I was sort of suffering because I was misaligned with my true self. I didn't want to be in the mental loop anymore, but I just kept going back to it. It felt like I had no control. But then eventually I realized something, and this was something that I learned from a monk that, that is at a local ashram that I go to every Sunday. And the monk said something along the lines of, whenever there's like a bad memory that comes up or some negative thought loop that you're in, and you try to use the mind to resolve it, it actually makes the problem worse, and it just makes the mental loop even stronger. And so this kind of came to mind when it was happening, and I realized, so I'm like, wait, I have to switch my attention and get off, like stop paying attention to it and stop giving it energy, stop giving it my attention so that the mental loop can finally end. And so that's exactly what I did, and it worked. And once I understood what the monk was telling me, I was like, wow. And I saw it work firsthand. I literally experienced it where I stopped paying attention to the mental loop. I was doing other things, the things that I wanted to do, carry on with my day. And whenever the mental loop came, I was like, okay, I can't pay attention to this. I have to just, I observed it coming in my mind, and then I just carried on doing what I had to do and let it go. And that's what it was. It was like I kept doing what I had to do. Mental loop came back. I was aware of it. I said, this shall pass too. And it passed. And then I kept doing my thing. Again, mental loop came. And it just repeated over and over until eventually the mental loop completely subsided. And this was very, a very deep insight for me, and gave me a lot of clarity on one of the tricks that the mind does to cause us suffering. And it really showed me that, wow, like the mind is really the cause of a lot of our suffering. And if we're able to understand the nature of our mind and understand our true nature as beings, then we can ultimately be free from suffering. And wow, I mean, that just really inspired me and empowered me when I experienced that. And I really couldn't believe it that what was really happening, because usually, like, I would just fall into the mental loops and not understand why, and just, that was that, and have no really defense against it. But now, I'm starting to learn mental techniques to get me out of the suffering that my mind produces. And a lot of our minds produce this unnecessary suffering. It, again, it gives you, the mind creates the narrative, and you kind of have to observe and take a step back and this I disidentify with the thought loop or the thoughts, because when you're immersed in the thoughts, it's as if that is the actual reality, and when they're negative, it's like you're suffering. But if you realize that they are just thoughts, and you are not actually the thoughts, and that is not actually reality, it allows you to take a step back, shift your attention and take a step back, and then switch your attention to something else, and something that is will make you feel better and is ultimately aligned with your true self. And so yeah, I really couldn't believe it. And I have so much to learn. And one thing I came to learn, which is kind of a weird, a weird understanding that it may not click for a lot of people, but understanding happens beyond the mind. And I'll put up this video of, I've mentioned it before, Rupert Spira, a very famous philosopher that I think he's just so insightful and so brilliant and does such a great job of, articulating and expressing non-duality and trying to point people to that, um, to truth, to the truth of our nature. And I'll put the video on the screen, but I watched the screen and it was crazy because I searched up like understanding beyond the mind because I was like, whoa, I realized, and what made me realize was this, that, most of the time we think our minds is what understands things, right? Like if we can articulate something and if we thought about it before, then we've truly understood it. But here in this situation, I understood something that was beyond my mind because my mind was in a mental loop, right? But I had this understanding beyond the mind that like, hey, this is a mental loop, and if we keep giving this energy and attention, then we're just going to continue this mental loop. And you see what I mean? That understanding is beyond the mind. So I was like, whoa, what the heck? Um, now that's completely, I'm like, now I'm just completely open to a new way of trying to understanding. As trippy as that sounds, but yeah, it's true. I don't know. Now I think truly understanding something is like a lot deeper, and it goes beyond the mind. It goes to like our our core as beings. And so yeah, and it was crazy. I searched up understanding beyond the mind, and his video popped up, and I'm a very big fan. I resonate with a lot of his lessons, and I had never seen or heard him say that ever. And so for him, his video to come up when I searched it up, I was like, whoa, like this, there seems to be truth here. Like this is actually a very deep truth and a very tricky and just so different that it made me really happy that I discovered it. And so yeah, I just wanted to share this today. If you guys have any mental loops going on, just know that they ultimately don't have power of you, and you can ultimately be free of the mental loops. Of course, you do have to observe and take a step back and watch exactly what's going on in your mind. But if you pay attention, you can ultimately be liberated from suffering. And so that's very beautiful. And hopefully, somebody gets inspired by this, or somebody can understand this, and they can hopefully learn from my experience. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I love you guys all. Thanks for watching. Stay blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.